Paula from Plantland again, and we're going to do a really short, quick class again, and we're going to talk about different kinds of materials that pots are made out of, because it can make a difference for the kinds of things you're trying to grow and how easy it is to grow them, or whether or not you have problems. This is your basic old terracotta pot, which is our common garden pot. They're relatively inexpensive. They're really good for a lot of different things. I grow a lot of my herbs in these. The big advantage to these for something like herbs is that they dry out very quickly. Because it's not glazed in any way, water moves out through the terracotta and they dry out fairly quickly. The big disadvantage to terracotta pots, they dry out very quickly. So if you had a plant that required lots and lots of water, and that would be true of a lot of vegetables, terracotta might not be your best choice. Glazed pots, this is a pot that's glazed on the outside, not glazed on the inside. So this kind of pot doesn't dry out anywhere near as fast as a terracotta pot would, but it does still dry out relatively fast. But it's a better choice for something like flowers that you need to have even water, or a good choice for some kinds of herbs like basil that kind of want to be dry but also want to be evenly moist on the dry side. Pots that are glazed completely on the inside actually hold moisture very, very well. So they're something that really aren't very suitable for things like herbs. Something like a rosemary in a pot like this, you would have to be very attentive to its watering. And remember, I'm just showing you smaller sizes. Everything I'm saying is true of bigger sizes of these kinds of pots too. Wooden pots are real. Oh, and the other thing I should mention about all three of the clay pots is they all do a very good job of keeping roots cool, which when you're talking about certain kinds of annuals especially, when we get to the hotter days of summer, their roots can get so hot that the plant actually stops performing very well in terms of flowering, and that has to do with its roots being too hot. So clay pots are very good for locations that are, the glazed clay pots especially, are very good for locations that are high heat. Wooden pots, always a good choice for just about any kind of plant. Big disadvantage to wooden pots is they don't last as long. You're putting water in them, they're wet, they're going to rot for the most part. This is made out of, it looks like cedar, and so there are woods like cedar, like redwood, that are going to be a little more tolerant of being wet all the time. But as far as drying out, wooden pots are somewhere in that middle range. They don't dry out as fast as a terracotta pot would. They keep your roots relatively cool, and they drain pretty well. Some of the more decorative things, like a little tin pot like this, it's kind of fun, but the first problem with a pot like this is it doesn't have a drain hole. So if you were going to grow herbs or some kind of annual in this, you'd want to punch a drain hole in the bottom of this kind of pot. And you can do that with a hammer and a nail pretty easily for most of this stuff. The metal pots tend to heat up very quickly. They're a good choice for shady spots. They're not a good choice for really, really hot spots. And then lastly, we're left with the two kinds of plastic pots. This is a plastic pot that's a little heavier, and it actually has a water reservoir in the bottom. That heavier plastic is going to help keep roots cooler, but it's not going to keep them as cool as a clay pot would. It's still going to be a good choice for warm spots, not a great choice for hot spots. Plastic pots, the basic pots, and this is what most people are going to try and grow vegetables or herbs or something in, they tend to be a little on they drain really well. They tend to be a little on the wetter side. So if you had a big pot like this and you were trying to grow, for example, potatoes in it, a potato variety like russet, which doesn't like to be kept too damp, wouldn't do very well in a plastic pot. It would do better in a clay pot or a wooden pot. This kind of plastic is usually pretty durable. You can buy lots and lots of inexpensive plastic pots, but Plantland tries to sell ones that last a bit longer and are a bit more durable. So that's a very quick rundown on different kinds of pot materials and the different kinds of properties that they have and what you should think about when you're selecting pots. Paula from Plantland, and happy gardening.